with Elam. You have to. I mean, he'll be the best. He'll be one of the top 3-4 corners in Florida Gator history if they can get the right system going and the players. It's just, if you look at the targets, nobody targeted him last year. Nobody had to. And then if you go off of that, you got Emory Jones, of course, Gervon Dexter, defensive lineman. You got Derek Wingo, who's going to be really good this coming season. And then you got to go with 3 running backs. You got to go with Damian Pierce, Malik Davis, and then you have to throw in DeMarcus Bowman. Then out on receivers, you got Frazier. Then out there, tight end, but watch out for Kamora Gamble. Made a lot of guys look like fools when they thought Pitts was taking a breather. And then outside of that, I'm going to finish it off with Ethan White, offensive line.
So with Gamble, there was some combination of some of the lesser games in the SEC East against the likes of, let's say, South Carolina. I thought that was a pretty competitive game for most of the way. Tennessee was for a time, and wasn't it Vandy that jumped out to a lead? But there were a couple games in the Swamp where he made some plays downfield that I was pretty impressed with. Emory Jones, I'm curious about the Emory Jones selection. Of course, he's the quarterback, so it's easy to point him out. But in terms of a top 10 player on the team,
yeah,
okay,
yeah, I would. If I had to rank him, I would put him at 6.
Okay,
out of the list I just gave you. Yeah, Emory Jones has a killer arm. Nobody has seen his arm strength. You saw a little bit against Oklahoma. But of course, we didn't have receivers that were catching the ball that day. Then another guy that they missed out in the bowl game was Whitmore. I don't know if you've seen him play. Played a few games against like Texas A&M early in the season. Kind of fell back a little bit whenever they got things rolling with Grimes and Shorter. But I would definitely put Emory Jones up there. He's secured his starting role. He's going to have a really good season. It's not going to be, obviously, you can't. I mean, this is a tough act to follow from college trash numbers. But I think he's going to attack you in a different way, and he's going to make, with a mature offensive line, with a stable of running backs that can go 4 deep if they need to. In the SEC, I'm talking about true guys that can play on any roster in the SEC, at least be in the rotation. Florida's definitely going to run the ball a lot more to shore up the first and second down. But on third down, that's where we're going to start seeing, is Florida legit or not on offense. And then, of course, defense, I think they'll be just fine. I think they fixed some of their problems. If you go back and look at the years when we had Hargreaves and Keanu Neal, Ryan Poole, Keith Tabor on our team. We had communication issues back then, and we had the same corners coach that was coaching the Gators secondary last year. We were having communication issues again. Last year, we didn't have the talent like the aforementioned players. So I think the defense gets things right. I think Florida's got a good season ahead of them. Of course, the Georgia game is a pivotal one. But those players, you got to keep an eye on them, particularly Derek Wingo and Gervon Dexter. There's going to be guys that you're going to see in all SEC selections here soon.
So, Peter, Emory Jones' first play on the field was in 2019, correct? It's been 2 seasons that he's come in those same packages, right? 2019, 2020, right?
He played in Dan Mullen's first year.
Okay, 2018 as well. Okay, 2018. Yeah. All right. I thought it'd been quite a while, and that's why I asked. I thought maybe it was even back to 2018.
Kentucky was the 3rd game of the year in 2019, and pretty much everybody thought it was going to be Emory Jones because he got so many reps in 2018. He was like in Mississippi State. He played against South Carolina and Missouri, those 2, pathetic first half games. But yeah, he got in the rotation pretty early as a freshman.
Yeah. So the reason I bring that up, Peter, is what I liked about. What I liked about the way they handled Emory Jones, Dan Mullen, was in comparing that to Justin Fields getting some playing time at the same time in the Georgia scheme with Jake Fromm, was that they would never let Justin Fields throw a meaningful. He wouldn't even throw the ball. If he did, he threw a couple out in the flat. Emory Jones, they allowed him to make some throws down the seam, some slants, some safe throws, but they were a little bit more stretching the field and legitimate throws. But they never really progressed past that, did they? So he's going to be asked to do a lot of things that he's nenever done in the passing game.
Yeah, he's only had 3 live fire blows. Remember against Auburn, Kyle Trask goes to the locker room after getting hit by I think it was Derek Brown. They let him go in there and they ran the regular offense, and he looked pretty good. There was a couple PIs that got called on Auburn that would have negated some big plays. But then, of course, LSU, same season, going into Death Valley against Joe Burrow's team, he got some reps as Trask was still nursing a little bit of an injury. They kind of utilized him at the goal line a little bit more, passing the ball. I know he threw the touchdown, that weird one to Michael Pirine and Pitts, and he threw it to both of them, and one of them came away with the ball. And then, of course, against Oklahoma, when Kyle Trask threw 3 interceptions in the first half, it pretty much gave him the keys to the car.
And Gators, you brought up the 3 backs, Malik Davis, Dameon Pierce, DeMarcus Bowman. So obviously you're going sheer talent with Bowman because he hasn't shown us anything as a top 10 player on the team. How do you expect those 3 guys to get utilized?
Well, it's hard to say. I think that Pierce is going to be your every down back until Bowman shows. I think that Malik is pretty much solidly second or third on the team. He will be your traditional scat back. He'll take some of those reps that Kadarius Toney utilized. Obviously not as elusive as Kadarius Toney. I don't think anybody has been in a long time at Florida. But I think that they're going to use him as a scat back. They'll put Pearson as the every down back, can catch the ball in the backfield, can block, can run, can do everything. It really comes down to the offensive line. As you well know, Florida's offensive line's been pretty pathetic for multiple seasons, even going back to the McElwain days. I remember McElwain used to comment going into the offensive line room was like looking at a bunch of dead fish. It's really been a cultural change that they've been working on. And this is finally the year where you feel like you have really solid pieces in every position. You got really highly talented players. And if you got a good system that can run the ball and pass the ball, I think that protects them a little bit, especially with the way Florida wants to do it. Kind of improvised runs and some spillbacks and stuff like that. And so I think Florida's offense is going to look very different than what we've seen from what Dan Mullen has shown at Florida. But I think it'll look a little bit similar to one of his last. I can't nail it. I think it may have been his last year at Mississippi State. The way they attacked Auburn down in the plains, stuff like that. They're going to try to spread the field a little bit on the 10 to 15 yard passes. But whatever defense wants to play up, you better watch out. Emory Jones can throw the ball on the run 50 yards. I've seen it a couple of times. He's an animal. If he makes the right decisions, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC.